Invicti is specializing in automated high accuracy web application and API vulnerability scanning. And you will hear from them very interesting terms like DAST, YAST. And so please, Veronica and Liam, explain. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica, and I am the Channel Account Manager for Baltics and Invicti. Thank you very much for joining us today. In this session, we'll explore how Invicti helps organizations and the partners who can strengthen application security by providing clear visibility, automation, and scalable solution across the entire AppSec lifecycle. I am letting my colleague to introduce himself and obviously give you an overview about our products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Just a very quick intro from my side, and we'll jump direct into the demo today. Hi, my name is Liam D'Amato. I've been working with the Invicti team now, approaching my 7th year already. As Veronica mentioned, today we'll be looking into application security scanning, specifically in the DAST and the IS space. Just as a quick intro of what DAST is basically mimicking an attack, a malicious attack into your application and identifying essentially the things that you need to fix in order to obviously make it secure as much as you can. Today we'll be showcasing the Invicti platform, which is AI powered also. And we'll also jump into some of the AI capabilities that we have implemented. And we'll also look on how to configure scans and how easy it is, include authentication mechanisms, plug it into your CI/CD or plug it into your issue tracking system. And we'll also view the results and view the capabilities, the information that it provides. Any questions you have, put them in the chat, and we'll then also review them at the end. We'll make sure that we have some time specifically for Q&A. Deployment-wise, because it's very important, especially when we're looking into DAST scanning data, it's available both cloud and on-premise. One of the benefits of having it on cloud is that even though it's hosted from our side on AWS, there is also going to be the option for you to install internal agents. So these internal agents will be the capabilities for you to run scans, but from your internal infrastructure, at the same time populate the data back into your cloud platform account. Configuration-wise, as I said, is going to be a very easy and straightforward process. Essentially, the type of customization that you would require would depend on the level of things that you would like to accomplish. If you would like to run a scan, just go ahead, point and shoot, go ahead and click on scan. While if you would like to make some adjustments, like for example, run a scan but not during specific time or specific hours of the day, or whether you would like to simply include IS. So IS is basically our gray box scanner where we plug it into the application web server side for Java, PHP, .NET, and Node.js. And what it does is that it complements our DAST scanner. And it complements it by, first of all, printing the stack trace, enhances the crawling capability as it's able to also uncover hidden locations that traditional DAST tools tend to miss or not identify. And for example, for certain technologies, it's also able to get you the exact line code number where the vulnerability is. So it works hand in hand with our DAST scanner. One of the main requirements of having a DAST scanner is to be able to bypass the login form. Without having a clear or without having a reliable solution that's able to handle different type of login techniques, whether it's simple or whether it's complex with SSO, with OTP, with multi-step authentication, it would limit you of what you can scan, because externally, okay, everyone can reach it. But internally, post the login, that is where our solution really comes into place with our very easy to use login macro, where by simply clicking on the steps, clicking on the login, providing the data in the login form, it will be able to then replay it back over and over again. So it allows you to create, again, a complex from simple to very complex macro recorder. 1 second. There it is, because there was maybe some students playing around with one of our test applications, so they directed us to YouTube. But as you can see, we're also able to handle redirects, login, And even again, when it comes to OTP, we even have an OTP supportability inside the login macro recorder itself, where you can supply the secret key, or you can also log in via OAuth 2, basic, digest, NTLM, Kerberos, client certificate, and they will be utilized within the authentication mechanism itself. Now, login is very important, but one of the most strongest part of the recorder is the session detection. So we're able to automatically capture a session, and maybe also based on having a rule on status code or pattern, where we would recognize when we are no longer in an authenticated state. So what this especially does is that if the scan takes, for example, 2 hours and we unauthenticate or the session expires, we will recognize that and then re-authenticate again, replaying the macro recorder steps that have been configured. That being said, you also have the functionality to control how aggressive, so controlling the speed of the scan by essentially limiting the concurrent connections and the time interval in between, together with how long will the scan is able to take. So some rules might have, for example, maximum of 5 hours or maximum, or for example, of 7 days. But you can control how long will the scan initiate. Now, speaking of Dust and web application, we cannot keep or we cannot leave API scanning out of the picture. API, I would say, is becoming one of the main services where the attacks are currently being generated, and we have been scanning them from our side from the beginning. I would say. So when it comes to API scanning, we do this very easily. It doesn't require much configuration. We simply provide the specification file if we're going to purely scan the API. If we're going to scan the front end with the back end, on the other hand, we don't need to provide the specification file, as we'll be generating traffic, we'll be emulating a user interacting with the application, and all the buttons, all the options, all the functionalities will be triggered, will be captured by our scanner, and then will be scanned. So those endpoints will then be detected. We also have an API discovery module that basically those API endpoints are going to be attacked, will then also be documented in case you would like to also export it in the future. But if you're looking at specific API scanning, this is where you can provide an open API, so Swagger, GraphQL, RAML, Waddle, or WSDL file. We also support others such as Postman, for example, or HAR file, or a Fiddler file. Together, we also have the capability to script your own login mechanisms for API by having a script that will, for example, specify when the token will expire and will be able to then regenerate it, including the headers or the bodies, so we can ensure that if there's a lifespan on the API authentication barrier token, we're going to regenerate it over and over again during the course of the scan. Exclusion. So this is where we can dive into, first of all, if you would like to exclude any paths, if you'd like to exclude any methods, or if specifically would like to include any custom header or cookies inside the configuration. We also have a very robust business logic recorder. So although our scanner is able to interact with it and try all the actions, there might be some areas or there might be some applications that are a bit too complex, which would require specific data to be inserted for us to get to the final area. And the business logic recorder just does that. So basically that allows us to record the sequential flow, doing any actions. Now here, this is going to be a very dummy example, but just to paint you the picture, this is where we are doing the actions, providing the IDs. Again, the flow that the application might be requiring, so we can ensure that there are no hidden areas which are not uncovered by our DOS scanner. And finally, this is where we can save everything and launch our scan. Now, scanning wise, we have a mixture of pre-built scanning profiles like full scan, which will be looking at all the vulnerabilities, critical, high, cross-site scripting, SQL, weak password, and so on. But you also have the flexibility to create your own scanning profile by specifying the vulnerabilities that you would like to group together. And as you can see, BOL, IDOR, and LLM scanning is also part of the security checks of the engine, and then allowing you to group these vulnerabilities under scan profile name, and then launch a scan specifically on those vulnerabilities. You can also have the option to specify when you would like to trigger a scan, either immediately at scheduled date, or if it's going to be a repeated frequency, like daily, weekly, monthly. So you don't have to log in, initiate a scan. The tool, the software, the platform will do that for you automatically. So we looked into scan configuration. As you can see, it's more of a point and shoot. It doesn't require any pre-configuration. The only thing I would recommend is to ensure that there is no Western firewalls that might be blocking our connection, as our main intent is to scan the posture and the application itself, and not how strong your WAF or firewall is. But let's dive into some of the sample scans and view the results. So here we have a completed scan. We have basically an overview of the exploited vulnerabilities, a bit of a statistical view of how much time has taken, total number of requests, average response time, and total number of bots. Um, if we go down, we can also see what other sources or hosts we were able to uncover from our scan itself. So they are in a way connected together. There might be a redirect, there might be a button which would call that service together with any runtime technologies that we're able to find. So any technologies that we find, we're going to log them. We're going to show you what the version that we have detected, what is the latest version, and what are the known CVSS scores that are known to be bound with that specific technology build, together with size structure. So size structure will also be giving you a visualized representation of all the technologies that we detect, so of all the pages that we're able to detect from our side. So this will give you the visualized confirmation that the scan was done fully and completely. But going to the most important part is the vulnerability findings. So this is where we will show all the exploits, all the vulnerabilities that we're able to detect during the course of the scan by giving you the severity, how important it is, the vulnerability name, the URL, so the location where the vulnerability is, the parameter that was used for the exploit, and what we have introduced as Invicti is the confidence rating system. So we do understand that when doing security scanning specifically automated, it might bury you and your team with noise. So what we do is that we want to separate vulnerabilities into three distinctive buckets: the 100, the 95, and 80, giving you the option that you wouldn't have to dive into, for example, hundreds of vulnerabilities at one go, but you will have the option of saying, okay, these are 100 vulnerabilities, these are confirmed, these are verified, and we can push them into our development team. While those which are 95, those require a bit more further investigation in order for us before we push them into our development team. That using this system will allow you to obviously prioritize your time and not redo work that we have already confirmed, or we are sure already from our side, and you can use your time to work on other non-confirmed or non-verified vulnerabilities. But for each and every vulnerability, you will still have the same functionality. You can manage the vulnerability status, assign it, add comments, add tags. And you can also see how the attack itself was composed, when it was last seen or first seen. What is it? What is the impact? How to fix it? Classifications and approved web references at the bottom, together highlighting also how the attack itself was done. So giving you the full request and response, and also for long responses, we also include highlighting sections. So we'll be pinpointing areas where we want you to look into. Activity, so full history of the ticket. When it was first detected, if there was a status change by a user, this will all be logged. But one important point that sets us apart in the market, I would say, is the proof of exploit. So what we do whenever we are sure that vulnerability is real I would say for the majority of critical and high vulnerabilities, is that we also go the additional mile to give you sensitive data back. So as the proof of the exploitation itself, in a read-only manner, we will get the database name, for example, user and version. And we can see this through other vulnerabilities. So let's say, for example, directory traversal, where we are able to get the proc version as the evidence, or whether it's simply, for example, a command injection. Let's load one of them, where we are able to get the DNS knym lookup as the evidence of the command injection. As we mentioned, when as part of our capability, we don't we also have LLM scanning. So this is where we can also identify vulnerabilities related to any AI bots that you are currently embedding within your system. So whether it's LLM prompt injection, LLM insecure output handling, these are all checks available out of the box. And we have also introduced BOLA, IDOR, and BFLA scanning. So this is where we can also have the option to provide different level of access, whether, for example, it's a normal user, for example, and an admin, and then from there we can also start to do the cross-checking of any personal data that can be exposed with the other user session token, for example, and then report back any vulnerabilities, whether again it's horizontal or vertical. Going a bit back to the scan that we had previously. So the next step, once you have the vulnerabilities, you can now export data to different standard or compliance supports available in both PDF and HTML. Just for the sake of giving you an example, let me just generate an executive report, or since it might take a bit more time, let me just generate one report here. So this is a comprehensive report which will give us all the findings all combined together, statistical graphs. We can also filter. We can also dive into the vulnerabilities, see what it is, see what the impact, all of the instances, how the attack was done. If there's the proof of exploit, to give you that additional confirmation that this is real and this is the proof that we managed to generate. Recommendations and references all included within the report. Keep in mind there's also LLM scanning, LLM OWASP top 10, OWASP top 10 API. So we'll map the vulnerabilities according to that security framework, together with, for example, with the PCI. With PCI, we also have a PCI ASV scanner. So you can also run scans from the platform itself. And if you pass, you can also get your PCI certification attestation available for you to download. Perfect. So that's the scan configuration and scan results. As we mentioned, we also support integrations with CI/CD tools and with issue tracking systems. This allows us to basically plug in the Invicti platform into your current development build. And whenever there's a new build, we'll trigger a scan. And whether you would like to either have more of a fire and shoot approach or more of a adding barrier systems or adding gating systems, this is where we can specify run a full scan. But if there's any critical or high and above vulnerability, fail the build. So we're adding additional security barriers where any unsecure code that will be scanned from the dust end will not continue with the next area. But there's also issue tracking system integration. So with issue trackers, this is where we can automatically send vulnerabilities into your Jira, into your GitLab, into your Azure or GitHub Actions or GitHub Issues. And with Jira, we also have a bi-directional communication. So they get sent to Jira and closed in Jira will also be rescanned back into the Invicti platform. And if they are still exploitable based on the rescan that we do, we will then reopen back the ticket automatically. Finally, and again, I'm conscious I would like to leave some time for Q&A. AI. So some of the AI capabilities that we have introduced from our side is, first of all, very simple. It's the AI support where you can give you can ask for any steps and we'll be able to then answer you on how to schedule a scan, on how to trigger a scan, or how to trigger a scan via, for example, the API. We also have the enhanced crawler. So when it comes to multi-language applications, we'll use AI, leverage AI to provide the right information in the forms to ensure that we are not getting stopped, but we scan all the way. And last, there's also AI in the predictive risk scoring of our discovered applications. So automatically, once you register, we'll crawl the web for any applications that might belong to you. And this obviously might be a long result. So we're using AI then to give you an idea of which ones might be vulnerable. So obviously you can prioritize accordingly. Perfect. Before I open the floor, just wanted to also introduce the API discovery functionality. So this is not in the scanning, but this is pre-scanning, where we can also plug in and integrate with APG, AWS, MuleSoft, Azure, and Connect to fetch any API documentation files that you have, or if you don't have them, they're non-existing or they haven't been updated in ages. We can also utilize our network traffic analyzer to integrate with Cloudflare, F5, Istio, Kong, Nginx, and automatically will then be looking at the active traffic which is currently being generated, capture that, and then to start to document it to build your API inventory. Perfect. We haven't covered multi-users. There's obviously much more things we haven't covered, but any questions, team?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Liam. Perfect demo showing all the capabilities. So we have a couple of questions, of course. So first of all, very specific question. So hoping you you will know what to say. What's your recommended approach for dealing with legacy applications that can be easily changed? Do customers use compensating controls, targeted scanning, or risk acceptance workflows?
Got you. I mean, having a scanner such as, first of all, as a dust scanner such as Invicti, yes, there are some legacy applications that some technologies that maybe they are so ancient that certain checks we might have removed, but we rarely see that. We don't rely on the technology itself, but we would rely on the behavior of the application. So when it comes to dust scanning, whether it's legacy or new, it from our side, it doesn't really make a difference. What I would more maybe would be a bit more cautious is that we might break it. So if you're going to scan any application which is live that has some legacy components, first of all, try it in a non production, then move over to the production if needed. But primarily try to stick to your scanning on a staging environment. Just keep in mind that we'll be trying on all the actions, all the possible combinations, which sometimes might have some damages indirectly because again we might have caught an exception and uncaught exception which might bring the service down, or we might click on a button and it deleted a user. So always do your scans on a non-production environment.
That's a very good suggestion and answer. And one question, quite general, but it's also seems that it's interested of that. So what do you see drives your business and your solution, especially in Europe? Is it meeting compliance requirements, or is it trying to really reduce high-risk exploitable vulnerabilities, like injections and so on? What drives it more? What do you see?
I mean, there's always, yes, that's a very good point. I do agree that sometimes it's a checkbox when it comes to compliance. For example, like DORA, sometimes it is a checkbox where it's mostly just compliance. They need a tool to be inserted ASAP, but you also have to take into consideration the vast pace that at the moment we are working on, where today there is basically no new vulnerabilities, but tomorrow there's a huge exploit, whether it's Log4j, whether it's a node vulnerability. Now, in order for you to have that visibility, it doesn't come in a few minutes. You have to ensure that you have a direct visibility of what are your technologies, if there is any new exploit that obviously might bring your service down. So definitely the major drive is compliance, mostly banking and, for example, government. But again, there is always the element of it might caught you unsurprised if you're not prepared.
Okay, so driving from this your answer, what are the kind of main verticals, main clients you see for your solution?
I mean, banking and compliance and insurances are always going to be the main ones, essentially. But again, everyone can be a target of a cybersecurity attack. So there isn't, obviously, again, banking are always going to be a bit more precautions and obviously a bit more um, uh, uh, taking precautions to ensure that they wouldn't have any security risk. But at the end, anyone that has an application should have a solution, should have a dust scanner. But primarily, it is in the banking industry, in the compliance industry. I'm not sure if Veronica, you have any thoughts on that on your part. You're muted, my point.
Yeah, now you're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
No,
No.
unfortunately. But anyways, yes, it's mostly, I would say, I mean, all industries, whether it's government, whether it's banking. I mean, there's also especially when it comes to AI, everyone is introducing AI
Yeah.
chatbots. I would say, including us. So we don't want to discriminate. But it's very important that you also scan your application, specifically when it comes to any LLM bots that you have inside your application. So there isn't a direct service; it can go up and down. But primarily when it comes to compliance, banking, and government are usually the main drivers.
Can you hear me
Yes, we
now?
can now.
Now we can
Yes.
hear you,
Super,
Veronica.
super. Sorry, I apologize for it. Yeah, I definitely agree with Liam about the industries that we cover, and yeah, definitely government financial services would be the best industries that we can cover. But I do agree what Liam said. Sorry, I was trying to
It's okay. You're
fix
on
my.
time, so it's perfect.
Was trying to fix my.
Thank you very much, Liam and Veronica. We don't have any more questions, and you are perfect on time. That's great. Great to see. I think you are coming to our event in March.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for participating, first of all, and hearing us out loud. Any thoughts, any questions after this webinar, please email myself or Amos or other person from the Hermitage team. I am the channel account manager. I am responsible for the partners. Unfortunately, I will not be able to come to your big day. I really apologize for it, but next time definitely will make us priority. Yeah, and as I said, please reach out to us if any thoughts, any questions, and obviously to talk about the collaboration that we can have in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liam and Veronica.